And the companies, which are the companies that are like really, top there? If someone is like, I'm looking for a job as a lab analyst, which companies can you recommend for them?
There's Anglo American, there's SGS, there are a lot, RCL Foods, there's Rent Water, there's Johannesburg Water, there's what is this? There are a lot. Tiger Brands. There are a lot because that's what I'm saying. Every sector has a lab.
Oh
Food
yeah.
industry, there are a lot of companies. Mining sector, every mine has a lab. Healthcare, for your pharmacies and everything, there's a lab for that. So there are a lot.
Alrighty. So we're back again on another episode, still talking about, the stuff we talk about, student development and career development. And today I'm joined by batho ba ga Nkoana. Le terata le reng ba ga Nkoana?
Ba re na letsogo ka Ramatla Malala. I don't really know search sa ka gae, but most people over botsa re wa ga Nkoana ba re setogolo sa Ramatla Malala. So
Oh,
yeah.
and there are some Nkwanas where I come from as well.
Yeah,
So
yona sa ngwananyana ka mo Limpopo ka.
yeah. So today
Yeah.
I'm joined by Sharon Nkoana. Sharon Nkoana is a lab analyst at Philafrica Foods Nedan. What a name! What does this company do? Like, Bona Foods, so I was like, hey,
Yeah, it's under the agriculture sector. So basically, they are known for producing cooking oil. So mostly at home, they call it Nedan oil.
Oh,
Yeah. So mostly they have three, but they have three plants where they extract the oil, where they produce animal feeds, and then also there's a protein plant where they do soya means, those Imana soups and whatnot. So yeah, they produce the raw materials for them using their soya.
oh, that's amazing. I mean, soya is one of the vegetarian kind of
It
meal.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
So,
Yeah.
what were you doing there? What was your role in this company?
Basically, I was working in the lab. So what we do on a daily basis. So if there's a raw material coming in, it has to pass through the lab. So we check that the raw material they are supplying us with is of what we need. The specifications are in line with what we told them, that we need a certain oil of this, we need a certain soya bean material of the specifications before we can let the trucks offload or the plants. We check the raw materials, and then also we have in-process analysis that we do every hour. Like every hour they send a sample collab, we check if their production is running as per the specifications of the customers. So if it's out of spec, we call them, this thing is not going in line with the specification, please adjust where you can. They know, or if it's low or if it's high, what do they do to adjust their product. And then the last thing that we do, we check before the product goes out. We have to check it as well. We have to analyze it, and then we create a certificate of analysis to say we have analyzed this product and it's of good quality and our customer. So basically, that's the main three things we do.
Hey, Mose, this is important because I remember listeriosis. Was that listeriosis?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess it was, from those kind of, if you guys don't test these things, then you can end up having those kind of things.
Exactly.
Wow.
And like one can get, they can fire you if you did create a certificate of analysis, but when the customer receives the product, it is a different story. So it questions your integrity as an employee, and if you do know your job, if you do know what you're doing, because this job, it comes with a lot of accountability and responsibility.
So it means, or you guys actually test, these products that they are in the correct chemical, whatever, before they actually,
Yes,
before they get consumed by the consumers, right?
other people, yeah.
And I must mention that in qualification wise, because that was also interesting when I was looking at it. So you have a national diploma in in analytical chemistry and
Analytical chemistry, yeah.
applied chemistry, and a Btech in quality and operations management, right? And
Yeah.
stuff like that. I heard you speaking about sanitizers that Tobel FM that
Yeah.
as a lab analyst. So let's get into the role of a lab analyst generally. Like, what
Yeah.
would you say generally does the role of a lab analyst entail?
Is to analyze, basically.
Okay.
You analyze, like I said, they mainly start with raw materials, so that we have a traceability. If there's anything wrong, we firstly check the raw materials that we use to do this product, and then from the raw materials you go in process. In process, there are samples that they send out to the lab every hour to check if they're still doing that, because at the production plant they use big measurements and everything, but more never rumela a small sample, which represents the batch that they'll be producing for that time. And then we check it. If it's okay, they still need to send us the final product. They can say it's okay during the process, but what if the final product is not okay as well? So you need to check the final product, you analyze it, and if it's okay, that's when you say it is good to go to the customer. So basically, to simplify, the role of an analyst is to analyze your raw material, in process samples, and your final products, basically.
So you guys can never bring lab coat to white, gogolos,
Yeah, we do. But some companies, it depends at the lab that you work in. At some companies, you have to wear the overall. If maybe you are working mostly with the furnace, like the hazard at the lab is fire, you need to wear fire-resistant PPE, like protective coats. So you won't really be wearing a lab coat. You can wear the overalls to protect you while you're busy working with whatever that you'll be doing. So it's not all the labs that are wearing, the lab analysts that are wearing the lab coat.
PPE COVID.
Oh. It's basically is it protective personal equipment. So it goes from head to toe, from your head. Mining, and then the overalls, the overalls, and then lady boots, safety boots, the earplugs, your barricading for the fumes, the dust mask, and yeah, so your hand gloves as well.
And how is it to work in a lab?
It depends. Again, it depends on the industry that you're in. Some labs it's very hectic, like hectic. Some you can there are times where maybe it's month end, then they say you need to push for month end results. That's where but at some labs every day is just from time to time you are always on your feet, you're working, you need to work, you need to analyze samples, you need to report those results.
And are there always some samples that you guys have to send them back? Maybe because like, hey, this sample, maybe when you test it, you're like, no, this is not correct. This has to go back.
We do reject.
Like what?
More we don't compromise. Like mostly raw materials. You send them, I test them at home, and then we tell the sampler, okay, sample listing I feel like, can you please resample? The second samples comes in, and then I resample or I test that. If the second sample fails, that's where we reject. Like, okay, we did the test first time, yeah, failure. The second time is still failing. We can't compromise, because if we do allow the sample to be offloaded, it will affect our final product. So we can't.
Yeah.
And also, even if our final product is failing, we cannot release it. We have to rework until it falls within the specified range.
Yeah. So when you arrive at work, you get to work, I guess at the lab. What do you guys do there? Like, take us through like your day at work, like from the moment you get in, during the day maybe, and and maybe also what do you guys eat there at the lab?
First of all, like, no food allowed in the lab, because there are chemicals there. You are not allowed to enter with food. Anything that you can drink, it's not allowed in the lab. Not allowed.
Oh.
So you don't eat in the lab. Like, there are signs to show no food allowed, no cake, no whatever, like nothing. So basically, the first thing that we do when you get in the lab, you have to wear your PPE.
Yeah.
Make sure like you are protected. Firstly, you need to be protected. And then the first thing that we do, we calibrate our instruments to make sure that they are still reading the correct readings. So we have our quality control standards. We first do that before we can analyze the raw materials, the hourly samples. We have to check our instruments that, okay, today you're still reading fine. You're still giving me the specified readings that I need you to show me. And then after calibrating and verifying our instruments, that's when we start with our work. Like every hour, as I said, for production, hourly, they bring samples every hour. So you need to check we work shifts. So it's 7 to 7, from 7 up until 7. Every hour they bring you a samples every hour, and then you check them. And then jadi raw materials, they depend on is if it's there, then the sampler, they bring samples to the lab, so that it's just randomly. They can come within an hour, got 5 trucks. You have to check those trucks. Like what they do random selection. You find the two sections, truck. So they have to select 4 times this side, 4 times that side, and then they make a single sample. They bring it to the lab. So if it fails, we can't compromise to say, Nahana, if the small sample fail, what about the whole truck? You find it's even worse. Wow. So yeah, the incoming trucks, they come randomly, and also the outgoing trucks, they also come randomly. The consistent thing that we do get hourly samples, like every hour. They bring the samples, and then you analyze them, you report them, you record. If there's anything wrong at that hour, you send out a performance alert to show that you noted this, because as I said about traceability, you need to trace that same batch is the date that the product was produced. Mostly it's the date, the month, the year, and the date, the day, and then you record it as your batch number. So if there's anything wrong with that batch number, we go back to check, okay, was the production running smoothly every hour? Was there any performance alert sent to the plant to notify them, this hour, this thing is low, this is high, you get? So basically, that's what we do. And then we create the certificate of analysis if the batch here passes throughout. And then we say, okay, this can be released and be sent to the customer.
Oh.
So basically, yeah.
Do you guys also check like things like expiry dates? Because I mean, those things are very important, and especially
we create them. We tell, like, if we produced a product today, we
Yeah.
already know the expiry date of that product. So it comes with expiry date. So there's we call it a lifespan of a certain product. So they differ from a year to 6 months to 2 years. Because like
Oh.
every time I get the bulk, it's not just those small packets and whatnot. So they go at the bulks. So we do mostly 2 years maximum.
Oh.
Expire after 2 years. So yeah.
And the chemicals that you guys use in the labs?
They're different. Because mostly chemicals that we use is for barricking to do the solutions that we use to analyze the cooking oil, for instance.
Yeah.
So a standard procedure that we use, or a method to show us, okay, you need to mix a certain acid with a certain amount of base or whatever to create a certain solution. That solution, you can use it to analyze.
So those things that we've learned there back in high school, acid and bases, and stuff, they come in handy, yeah?
They do, because you cannot add water to acid.
Yeah.
It's a bit, sometimes you forget. Yeah, you cannot add water to acid. You always add acid to water. So such things, they are really important, because when you get to the industry, you use huge amounts of acids. It's not just those small amounts. You do go to practicals and everything. So you need to know your basics in chemistry. Okay, I cannot add this to that. I cannot throw a certain chemical in the dustbin, because if it reacts with paper, it will cause fire and whatnot. So such things, they do help.
Aren't you guys afraid, or because the lab, sometimes when I look at them, especially those signs, those signs, those nuclear signs, man, yeah. When I look at them, sometimes I'm like, hey, what about if something goes wrong? Maybe during the mixing of things, and like there is just an explosion and stuff like that.
That's why I get a standard procedure, like how you add something to whatever. They tell you, like, let's say if you're adding something that can cause an explosion, there's a certain way that you need to add it slowly. You don't just add things fail on no chill. There's a certain way of doing things, and there's also a fume hood. Molohoring, you have to work under the fume hood, so that whatever fumes that comes out, they don't affect you, firstly, and that they don't cause explosions.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that's why you guys have to study so hard, I mean,
yeah, it comes with a lot.
What can someone study? I mean, you studied analytical chemistry and applied chemistry, and also the Btech and quality and operations management. But what can people study to actually be a lab analyst?
I think there are 3 courses that I know of that are under applied chemistry. There's analytical chemistry, there's biotechnology, there's also food technologies. So, and like it's a very a huge field, because there's also microbiology in it, biomedical, because they're different. Like what lab, it's everywhere basically. Under food industry, under water industry, healthcare, mining industry, like different sectors, agriculture. It's everywhere, because they need us to verify whatever they are producing, whatever they are doing. They need a lab to verify, okay, whatever you're mixing, it's of good quality and it would not harm the environment or the consumer.
So I see that the scope in terms of even job opportunities, I guess, like you just cited now, mining, agriculture, and stuff like that. And the companies, which are the companies that are like really, top there? If someone is like, I'm looking for a job as a lab analyst, which companies can you recommend for them?
There's Anglo-American, there's SGS, there are a lot, RCL Foods, there's Rand Water, there's Johannesburg Water, there's what is this? There are a lot. Tiger Brands. There are a lot because that's what I'm saying. Every sector has a lab.
Oh,
Food
yeah.
industry, there are a lot of companies. Mining sector, every mine has a lab. Healthcare, for your pharmacies and everything, there's a lab for that. So they're a lot. They're really a lot.
And have you always wanted to be a lab analyst?
This was my second option, but I believe God knew me well because growing up, I wanted to be a doctor. Like everything I was applying for in grade 12 was medicine related. And then for analytical chemistry, I just applied it. I think last week you just already the application. Like, let me just send this as my second option. After matric results were released, UJKA after me, I'm not even there. UJKA the first year orientation, I'm not there. Like I was so focused in like medicine, like anything, like but a year later in doing the course, I was like, okay, I excelled very well. Like my marks were outstanding. I was like, okay, I think I'm more of this person. And then why not? Let me just complete this. If I still want to do medicine, I'll do it after this course. I later got to realize, oh no, I came to so I was not really going to cope, Like, okay, I made a good decision basically.
So you say that you heard about this course, analytical chemistry and applied chemistry, from I think from one of your teachers in some extra classes. What did you hear about it?
Extra class, Mr. Mahala. Yeah, we were attending one extra class lesson, and then he was just explaining it. There's this course, analytical chemistry. So when you what you basically do, let's say for instance at a gold mining, they melt gold, right? And then they'll bring you just a small sample, and then you tell them whether to melt it further or is it okay, So I got impressed by that. I'm like, okay, this sounds smart. Honestly, it really sounds smart. Like you actually, the production people, they rely on you to tell them, okay, can they stop or can they melt further or whatever. It's like, I'm going to apply for this course. And I got to love it. Like it's really it's proper.
We're gonna get into the course like deeply, but this lab analyst, what did you enjoy about it? Like, or what do you enjoy most about going to work as a lab analyst every day?
Mm-hmm. What I enjoy most is to how they rely on us. Honestly, they can't really do anything without us. They can run their production as they like, but without us, guys, nothing is going to come in, nothing is going to come out. So basically, they need us more. We are the important sector of any company because they can't do anything. That like it excites me about what I do as an analyst.
So stamp.
Approved. That approved comes from us. We approve.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's quite interesting. And the skills that maybe someone who wants to be a lab analyst, what can you say? These are the skills that they need to have. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe like be very analytical.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Firstly, as the course says, analytical. You need to be someone who's very analytical, someone who's not afraid of taking decisions, because as I say, whether you say something I pass or I pass, you need to be firm and say this thing I feel. Hey, what I feel like a 0.05. You need to be firm and to be a decision maker. You need to be accurate. Yeah, accuracy is very important, because if you're saying something 5.0% alcohol, you need to really mean it. You need to really be accurate about it. We don't want 5.01% What if that 0.01 it causes someone something? So accuracy is very important. You need to, hey, work whenever we work under pressure, we work well under pressure. We need to know how to think fast. It needs someone who was very fast and who can manage their time. If you have many samples to analyze and you're working kanako, you need to be able to prioritize, or okay, let me first do that because this is more important than whatever. So you need to be very efficient in whatever that you do and effective. So yeah, basically analytical, accurate, time management even on point, because yeah, and be a decision maker.
Yeah, no. I know it requires quite a lot, you know.
A lot. Yeah, you need to be accountable for whatever that you do.
So do you just wake up and become a lab analyst, or maybe you need to start somewhere? Because with you, I saw that you started with an internship and then you also worked in quality control. Then you became a lab analyst, you know. How does it work to arrive to be a lab analyst?
Okay, so basically from grade 12, you just need to do your maths and physics streams, study sciences.
Yeah.
And then just doing I think completing the course, the 4-year program, yeah, analytical chemistry, it is you to be an analyst. Just that I don't know the advanced diplomas. Now we did national diploma. So a national diploma came with an extra, for us it was a 6 months. You needed to do your internship, your experiential learning before they can award you the thingy, the qualification of being an analytical chemist. So yeah, basically you need to pass and finish your, sorry about that, finish your modules, and then you do your we call it P1 P2 training. So you find it, luckily at UJ they helped us to apply and everything so that we can get into the industry, be exposed, to show that this is an important course. They don't just give you your qualification and you go do the work. They need to trust that whatever that you learned here at school, you can apply it before we can give you a qualification as such. So I did my in-service training on mining for a year. Usually they only need 6 months, but mostly companies, they run it for 1 year.
Oh.
So after that, when you are qualified, you can work as a quality control technician, lab analyst, lab technician. Yeah, basically.
And how are those in-service trainings? Because I know some people who really struggle to get them, and it seems like it's a hassle, you know?
It was the hassle. I think that's why they now implemented the thing of an advanced diploma, because they see it's really hard to, you can stay about 2 years, and then you can graduate with that. You know, it's actually some sort of a barrier to your career journey. So now, at least it is a struggle. Some of us were lucky to get it within the period that we were supposed to do our in-service training. Some, it's really hard. It's really hard.